Hi, my name is Karina Vongampai, and today I'm going to talk to you about what I learned from conducting a few user research methodologies for a human-centered design and engineering course at the University of Washington in Seattle. My user research project was inspired by my daily interaction with club advertisers around campus. I found these interactions interesting because many people I know will avoid these club advertisers by looking down at their phone, pretending to text someone, or even wearing headphones. I was interested in learning more about what behaviors, interactions, and people are associated with the club booth environment. In terms of what I did, I decided to explore club booths at the University of Washington through 3 different methodologies, which included field research, semi-structured interviews, and a survey. With each methodology, I gathered data, analyzed them appropriately, and determined what trends I noticed from my entire data set. With that, I learned that body language and conversation topics are important, but specifically eye contact and facial expressions are important for club advertisers. They're important because club advertisers filter through their audience by judging a person's willingness to talk or reciprocate interest in the club. I truly understood that the visitor has the most power in determining whether or not they'll be approached. When I conducted field research, I learned that I have the job of maintaining a perspective on the overall picture, but I also have the responsibility of narrowing down my big picture focus. I was constantly stimulated by sounds, movements, weather, and people all around me, and this was something that I liked, but it was also something that I had trouble with. From field research, I learned that this methodology is great for not knowing what you're looking for and going out and looking for it. I felt that my experience conducting field research really helped me answer the question of what do I want to focus on, and additionally, it gave me the opportunity to watch what people do naturally rather than listen to what they say about what they do. On the downside, field research left me with a few, well, why did they do that moments, and I also found myself focusing on a ton of different things, which made picking a focus really difficult. Just because you're watching everything doesn't mean it's going to help you pick a focus, so you have to be decisive. If I was blatantly showing that I was people watching, I probably wouldn't have gotten the results I'd got. What I learned from field research was that I have a ton of things that I can watch, but as I move forward with sessions and different research methodologies, I really need to work on narrowing things down. And I found this to be a weakness because in field research, you're given such a broad lens, and you have the responsibility of picking what your focus is going to be. Next was interviews, which were interesting. I made sure that my participant was comfortable in every way and even positioning ourselves in a more casual and conversational manner. I made this clear that I'm all ears and that they can tell me any stories they want to, and they can excuse themselves whenever they want to. While conducting semi-structured interviews, I found that I was gaining people skills and some investigative conversational techniques that I could use regularly. Additionally, I enjoyed getting reasons for actions, which was something that field research lacked, and overall I felt that I got a better sense for purpose, context, and personal meaning. On the other hand, I found creating structured questions to be the most difficult. Questions that everyone can relate to and understand is something I struggled with, and I wish that I had the opportunity to test these questions more. Additionally, dealing with silence is something that I'm slowly getting more comfortable with. Additionally, I also found that making on-the-spot follow-up questions was difficult in my first session, but it's something that definitely takes practice. What I learned from interviews is that having respect and showing interest in the conversation is essential to the success of the interview and what kind of data you're going to get. Learning how to make follow-up questions and planning follow-up questions for interviews is the best part of interviews. Lastly was my survey study, and in the survey I used 4 different types of questions, including Likert scale questions, multiple choice, ranking, and open-ended. Together, these gave me a mix of quantitative and qualitative data that I could compare and contrast through data visualizations. With surveys, I found that they did a good job at giving me information to work with, and they also gave me a tool that I could easily distribute to a wide audience. I also found that having the opportunity to ask relevant questions was something essential to surveys, and that was something that I could do by creating filter questions and not wasting the participants' time. But with these strengths, I found it difficult to actually get participants and convince people that taking my survey is worth their time and energy. Additionally, I was not sure what the best visualization was for my data, and although being able to find relationships between data was a strength of surveys, I also found it to be a weakness since determining what those relationships could be was really difficult. Overall, I learned that testing your questions will make or break your survey since since there's no room for you to intrude or interpret more about what you're trying to get at. Additionally, it's important to make sure that you're getting the terminology correct for your intended participants so they understand truly what you're trying to say. And when you're trying to digest your data, it's going to take time. After completing my research study, I learned a lot about how these methodologies would impact my career and how I would be using them in the near future. I've also found that interviews and surveys seem to be a staple across a variety of companies that are introducing user research, and these are two methodologies that I'd really like to get concrete abilities and skills in. Everything I've learned has shaped my personal process of creating, planning, performing, and finishing user research studies. I learned a lot about when to use each methodology, supporting why I want to use each methodology, and how to make the most of each kind of study. If there's anything to remember, it's to ask these 5 questions. And these 5 questions are useful for defining research questions, goals, and the overall approach. I also found these questions to be the most impactful when it comes to understanding the high-level focus of a study and explaining what you're trying to do with this study to a variety of people. Additionally, it's important to remember that you're going to be picking methodologies. It might sound boring, but remembering that research is more than just that is really important, and understanding what you're trying to get at with this research is something that's going to drive your motivation to complete this research. Your results are truly dependent on how involved you are with your research. And these are things I will remember as a future user researcher. I'd like to give a thank you to Professor Sarah Zuberec and my TA Audrey Wu. I've truly learned a lot, and I think that everything here is super useful for someone who wants to pursue user research. Thank you.